Hi, welcome to day two of Inviting Weakness.
Hi.
Hi, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the questions for today.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were actually just in that sense evaluating what what weakness would be good for. So
Yeah.
what I have done today is maybe come up with a few reasons
Hmm.
of what it might be good for and put them here. So the first, so in this sense, what it's not a question, but it's something you can agree or disagree with, and whatever, right? So where you fall tells us where your ground is.
Right.
So
But
yeah,
are we imagining the ground to be singular? Like there's only one ground?
yeah, because we can only stand at one place. So we
What
are
about being in the state of falling?
of being in a state of falling,
Yeah. Being in motion.
no motion. So you are saying that being suspended in that state of falling without any motion.
No, being in that state of being in
But
the fall also
but
takes time. So that amount of time you are in the state of there is no ground because the
right.
ground is
So
consistently
yeah,
changing.
yeah. While you are falling, you have no ground because you haven't found it yet. That's right. But let's say so if you have started falling at some point, you will fall.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm just putting this here as one of the uses of.
Why are we trying to find ground?
So okay, so if you don't find our ground, what do we reset ourselves to, right? So
What do we? Sorry, what did you say? What do we?
what do we reset ourselves to? Uh, so you can have bursts of energy at different points in time, and those bursts of energy might take you here and there, and you can be very productive and you can think up a lot of things. But where do you come back to if you don't know what your ground is? Like, I mean, you need to know. You don't need to know it, but it's good to know. It's good to know where. What do you default to?
Do you always have to know this? What if you don't know? What if you don't know what your default is?
Yeah, exactly. And why would you always have one particular default? Your default will also change over time.
Right.
Yeah. So at every time, as your default keeps changing, you keep finding a default by falling. So essentially, the first.
Not necessarily falling.
How else would
Why?
you find your default?
You
Just
could
a,
theoretically also find it
Now, how?
by not falling, by just examining.
What do you examine? I mean, I'm just saying that, let's say we stand somewhere, so we are on some piece of ground. So that is a singular piece of ground that we are standing on.
Okay.
And if we are, yeah, and if we fall, we'll discover it. So
Okay.
that is in a way. I mean, what I'm doing, what I'm starting with today is putting out some uses of
Falling.
weakness. Yeah. So
Yeah.
just like of falling. So what good is weakness? What good is falling? It'll tell you where you are.
Okay.
So what do you break down to? Where do you fall?
This is one way of knowing it, yes.
Yeah, I
But
mean
then,
that's
but the point is, this is one way of also knowing something else, which is not the default.
yeah. What would that be?
So you could discover a place where you could take yourself to, or you could find another place where you could go
By falling.
by falling.
But when you fall, don't you discover where you are? I mean, how do you travel to a different place?
I may not have the memory of where I started in the first place, or I may not have the awareness of where I started in the first place. It's like I might have done something yesterday, but I might have completely forgotten today what that was, and I'm starting afresh.
Right. But
So I don't.
yeah, so that's like distance traveled in memory, right? So if you sleep somewhere and you wake up somewhere else,
Hmm.
then you will feel that you traveled.
But if you don't remember where you slept,
So
If you
I'm trying to
don't,
understand why we are even looking at this thing of needing to find a ground, because if we think of what we discussed yesterday in terms of how we position weakness,
yeah,
and as a position that is not necessarily in opposition to what we see as strength, but maybe something as different.
hmm.
Because we concluded by understanding that weakness can also be a position of strength if you're aware of it. So if that is the case, this necessity to find ground when you fall, or to position um, this whole thing of where you fall from or where you are at after falling, I don't quite understand. What does it matter?
No, so if you don't know where what your ground is, how do you start again?
so Prayas, when I see your question, where you fall tells you where your ground is, the way I
Yeah.
understood is actually not where I fell from, but where I am falling, that is my ground.
Yeah, what you're falling to, where you're
Yeah,
falling. Yeah.
right. So there's nothing like having a baseline before and now and
No,
all
no,
that.
no. No,
Yeah,
no. So it's just
No,
like
but the very fact that you say, Prayas, that you say we are starting again.
yeah.
Where do you
Means
know?
that,
That
yeah,
means you're seeing it in a kind of linear sequence of beginning, middle, and end. The fall has an end.
it's a
The fall may
cycle.
not
It's
have
a
an
cycle.
end.
No,
No, I don't think it's a cycle.
no, it's so everything that is built up will fall down. Everything that is constructed will come apart.
I think it's a
Everything.
spiral.
Yeah. So in relation to time, it's a spiral. Yeah. Because it will never be the same point in time where
Yes, so
the events happen.
so
Yeah.
but are you aware of the spiral is what I'm saying? Because what I'm saying is I'm only aware of the point where I am. That's it. Who's
Yeah.
aware of
I
the
why
mean,
do you
spiral?
need to plot your position?
Exactly. I
no,
mean,
the
some
spiral is
people
an
are able,
abstraction.
yeah. I mean, some may be able to plot their trajectory, but I'm saying for me, generally, this is what it is.
No, let's say, yeah, we don't know that we're in a spiral. We don't know. We just know that we fall sometimes, and and sometimes we are standing upright. That's all we know. We don't actually know the narrative. The narrative
Oh,
is known by the other, if
mhm.
there is any other.
Right.
So, but but we still need to be able to. We still need to know how to fall if we are to know what our ground is.
Can you
Of
know
course,
your
Why can't
ground
we
without
adopt
falling?
yeah. How would that happen? Is something that I'm trying to figure. I mean, I don't really
Or can
Yeah.
you
know.
adopt a ground? At any point you say, okay, this is where I stop.
That's too much of a like a conscious. That's a choice.
But what if that entity is constructed like that?
Yeah,
That
you
is
can
their
believe
nature.
that. You can believe that you are choosing, while actually it's being chosen for you. Yeah, yeah,
So
that
maybe it's
can.
acceptance rather than choice.
And
Yeah,
that's actually like your question too, which says the fault in the narrative.
right. So the timing actually comes in the spiral that you mentioned,
Hmm.
Malvika.
Hmm.
So the spiral brings in time, and the point. I mean, when you fall, points towards the event that led you to fall. Right? How can you go away from that? Let's say we know, okay, this happened and this was my undoing. I just came apart when this event happened.
Hmm.
But it's not that you can do anything about that, because when you fall, you are reset. So next time when that event happens, it's not that you would have learned from your experience or anything like that,
Why?
because you have no memory of that happening before.
But you may have been altered by that event. You may not remember it, but you may have been altered somehow.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, so that, yeah, you may have been altered, and how that comes out, how that comes out is maybe
The
how
next time you
you,
fall, how you deal with it.
yeah, how you deal with it, and what are your associations with that event, and what are your biases, and all of that, right? So because
Hmm.
those are the unexplained emotions. You don't know
Right,
why
right.
you are
Yeah,
cynical about something.
correct.
You don't know the cause of your angst.
You don't remember it, yeah.
So we won't actually know these faults in our narrative, or in the narrative, when they happen again. We won't know them as faults. We'll know them as another, as
Event.
the part, yeah, as some other part of the narrative.
Yeah.
So what happens differently then? How do we deal with it differently? How do we deal with it in a way that, you know doesn't, it doesn't
How,
it doesn't become the same. It doesn't lead us in the same direction.
I don't know if there's a way to know that. Because if you don't know or if you don't remember, you know, then there's no guarantee as such. I mean, if we are talking about introducing an element of self-awareness or an element of deliberateness of memory, and that's how we avoid future
Yeah, so
repetition.
we don't know that, but we would like to, right? In the sense, we wouldn't like to think that, across the last 10 years, the same event has been a stumbling block.
Correct.
So we
Like
would like
Einstein
to,
says, searching in the same place twice is stupidity, or
I
something
don't
on
think
those
it
lines.
will ever be the same. So even if it may be similar, it's not going to be the same. There will always be a difference
I mean,
in
as
like
far as the narrative is concerned, it might be the same. It might just be a different pocket of time, right? I mean, it might be a different time, but the event is the same. The narrative is the same.
So
Why?
patterns are repeating.
The pattern is repeating. Yeah.
So are you constructing it as a hypothesis?
No, it's like a story of my life.
Then
Right?
I think there is a problem in the way you see it.
No, so it's new things don't happen in terms of new things don't end up troubling, or new things don't end up dismantling my world. It's the same thing over and
What
over
is your
again.
definition of new?
New is something which
Which is not old.
yes, something which is not old, but
Can I say something? So this whole concept of falling, the way I look at this is that it's not us who has the power to decide whether we are going to fall or not. It's the environment that's going to fall around us, or the ground that you're talking about. The ground falls, and you don't have a choice. You are on the ground, and then the ground falls to the lower level. Sometimes,
like an earthquake.
yeah, sometimes it goes up as well. So it's like, and how do you say that? A positive earthquake, then like that pushes you up. I don't know.
Positive earthquake.
Like Mount Everest forms.
Yeah, exactly. Two tectonic plates dashing into each other. Anyway, so the point is, so it's the situation, it's the environment around us which essentially constitutes the space and the time, right? So those two things which we don't have control over, those things predominantly determines whether we are falling or not. That's how I see it.
So you're saying that if the environment is
That's kind of like
falling,
this. So
if the environment is falling and it's not us who's falling, then
Yes.
you're saying we have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, even if you worry about, you can't do anything about it. That's what I-
Nothing will change. Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Uh,
But like,
but there is a sync happening, right? There is a sync happening of two events, that when the environment falls, I also fall.
see, it's kind of like this. So when you know that, when you envision that something is gonna happen, like in a later stage, right? Then the fall will be smoother. That's the only thing you can do. So in that sense, yeah, the sync happens. So if you and the ground are in sync, then the jerk from the, so you have a cushion. So there's no damage to the person who is standing on the ground.
Or there is damage, but you are aware of the damage, so it's not unexpected, and so you're
Exactly.
like, okay, I knew
So
this.
that's what I meant. So it's not that damage is not going to happen. So there's a cushion there. So you know that the damage is going to happen. So you're prepared for that.
So are you saying that disasters are not really disasters?
It's how you see them.
Yeah.
But things are already in tatters. Things have.
Or they're not.
So can you reset your default to be in tatters?
Right.
That
So
is
that
the
is
default. Like that is the default, right?
Yeah, no, for somebody who's looking at tatters and saying, oh, it's always in tatters, then that may be the default.
No, I'm saying for everyone that is the default. So, creations happen out of imperfection. So we have to be in an imperfect stage at any point in time to create something at any point in time.
Yeah.
But then I want to say the other thing, which is, Prayas, you had mentioned something where things just keep repeating. It's the same thing again and again. There's nothing new.
right.
Just
I mean,
for this
so
discussion. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like it might link to something which is very maybe unintelligent, but that's fine. The karma theory, right?
Okay.
It speaks of being able to resolve events which are stumbling blocks. Otherwise, they'll keep occurring again and again till you resolve them.
Right, that makes sense. I'm like, why is that unintelligent?
No, I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
just saying
if
because
you
karma
remove,
theory sounds
no,
unintelligent to some people.
if you remove the connotations of it, and if you just
Karma,
look
exactly.
at
So if you
yeah,
remove that, but like
yeah,
totally it makes a lot of sense. Like you go through a situation, and if you don't learn from it, so the next situation, it's not that okay. So it's not that the same thing repeats itself. I think every time every situation repeats itself. Only thing is that whether you have learned to solve that particular situation or not. So if you haven't learned, the
it will
when the
happen again.
situation repeats itself, you're conscious that oh, the same situation is happening again. But if you have learned the previous time, the next time the same situation arrives, you like flow through it. Like you go through that really fast, so you don't even know that the same situation has happened.
Right.
But how do you learn to deal with it?
That's very subjective, right? So it depends on this. It depends on you. It depends on that situation, and so the
No, because
easiest way would be to
the problem is because of what we discussed earlier, in the sense that you actually don't have any memory, so you can't pass on wisdom from one event to the other. So it's
But then maybe
you.
we are talking about building that memory.
but like, why did you guys come to that? I don't understand. So why don't you pass on the memory?
No,
That's what even I don't
actually,
understand.
I brought it up because what I was saying was I don't always necessarily remember what my ground was. I don't,
But
it, I might have done something which happened at one point in time, but I may not necessarily remember where I stopped or what happened. I'm just starting afresh.
Yeah, so after you fall, each time you start afresh, you'll start afresh in a different way, just because the world will be different each time.
It is
And
different. It will be completely different. And it's also one more thing which is dealing with the trauma. It's like if I get preoccupied with the dealing with the trauma of having fallen and all these things, then that memory still remains, etc. So I'm going to completely erase the memory itself and say, ki, this is the new starting point. I'm just going to start afresh.
yeah, and
But
then
that experience itself would
Yeah, that will alter
let
me. I'm not
you,
denying
that
that.
will alter you, and even
Yeah.
if you're not conscious of
That's
recognizing that same problem, if it recurs, there may be parts of your subconscious that will
yeah.
make you behave differently to deal with it better.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying more is in terms of actually passing on the wisdom and remembering and being conscious about it.
no, I think so. From what I understand, okay. So the ground and the person, right? So the two objects here. So when they like both these things fall, the ground and the person crack, right? Like there's some distortion that's happening in both these objects, right? So what's happening around you, as in on the ground, you don't have any control over. But then what's happening with the person still has control over it, and there the memory gets passed on. Whereas this situation, as in the cracks on the ground, you don't have
Yeah,
memory of that.
right.
So in that context, right? So you see the ground, you see the crack, and then like move around that crack, right? So that you do it differently compared to the previous time.
I'm going to throw in one more thing here, which is getting bored. I mean, if you have figured out all the cracks that can possibly happen in your circumstances,
Right?
what's new? There's nothing new anymore.
Then your fall will be bigger the next time, so your learnings will be more.
How's that?
So that depends, right? So you can stay on the ground and you're like, okay, I'm comfortable here, let me just be here, right?
No, but it's not comfort. It's not about comfort. It is about realizing that.
For some people that is comfort. So maybe
Okay,
for
okay.
you, you're like you're bored, everything is monotonous, I don't want to do this. But for most people, it's
No,
like,
I don't mean it like that. I don't.
ah,
That's not what I mean. What I
okay.
mean is you have you have experienced all that you can experience.
With respect to that particular fall, right? So there is another
No,
fall
no, no,
coming.
not just no. You have fallen in so many different ways, and
Okay.
you have seen the same patterns everywhere, the same sort of things repeating. You've also figured out how to deal with it. It's the same thing again and again, everywhere, all around you. You fall here, you fall there, but the meta level is the same. You're falling and you're dealing. You're falling and you're dealing. It's the same thing, and that's coming back to what Prayas had said earlier about the, it's boring. I mean, it's like it's the same
No,
thing.
I find it interesting.
Yeah, because that can leave you feeling
Going.
very redundant. So
Huh.
Yeah, it's
what's
like कुछ नया बताओ यार. It's like ये मैंने
ah
10 बार देखा है already.
yeah, like what's the I mean, you will actually realize, you will accept as truth the point that it is pointless, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and that will be a sad event, right? I mean,
It's
because
sad.
that is,
It's freeing, right? I mean,
but that's
again,
happening all the time. The thing is, uh, I'm still not able to gather what Sam was saying about how the experience is going to carry over and help you resolve the situation before it comes up again next time.
I don't
didn't
know if he meant that you will actually resolve the situation.
exactly. Yeah. It was more like being aware that this is what is happening.
But does that help you get freed from the loop?
It may not get you
No,
help.
it may not.
Yeah, but the trauma is reduced. So you're not wasting time that much dealing with the trauma.
So how do you
Yeah,
get free from the loop?
No, so you're never gonna get out of the loop.
You're not. Exactly.
You,
There is no
you
getting
move
out of
from
it.
one radius to the next radius. That's it. So it's like a spiral, as Malvika said. So
Yeah,
you
and
move from one level to the next level. But
and
you're
it's the
still
same old,
loop.
same old. It's going to be nuanced. In the beginning of the spiral, it may be large circumferential spiral, but then it becomes just nuance. It's like an asymptote.
Ah. But I'm looking at it the exact opposite way. When you start off, the radius is 0, so it's a point, right? And then like you spiral out. That's how I'm seeing it.
Okay, the way I am seeing it is when I say large circumference, it's like more effort that has to be put into resolving that event and figuring it out, etc. But then when you go down, as you're not spending that much energy.
Yeah, so you reduce your losses with each
Exactly.
fall.
That's exactly.
Correct, but then the quantity could be less, but then the quality would. I mean, so if you look at it like a child growing, right? So initially when you have the fall, it's very small, as in like compared to how you envision it now, right? Like what you had when you're 3 years old is very small compared to what you're having right now.
No,
Right?
but if I could say the exact opposite. When I'm 3 years old, a small fall appears really big to me. But when I'm much older, then even a big small fall looks smaller.
Yeah, I think
No,
it
but,
depends on the perspective you're seeing it from.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how is it that we are growing old? I think that's the basic point.
We are not. Who said we are?
No, when you move from one
So,
to the other.
I don't mean growing old. I'm saying it is about experience. You have
yeah,
experience.
gathering experience, right? So I mean, I'm saying other layers of narrative just piling on top of each other, or are we able to learn anything that matters from it, or that is not even on the plate? Learning is not even on the plate.
I feel like there is learning, but it becomes asymptotic. I feel like there is an absolute end to it, and the closer you get to it, you feel like you're not learning anything more.
Oh my God! For me, it's like the exact opposite. I don't know how. See, for me, when I move from one layer to another, there's a lot more learning, right? And it just keeps it just keeps increasing, because like at that level you realize that okay, there's some more, something else to learn as well, and then like you go to the next level, then you realize okay, there's like a lot more to learn. So it like keeps building up.
But I keep finding that it's the same thing everywhere. You learn something, you can directly apply it elsewhere, and so you've already done the learning. There's nothing new.
There's nothing new.
It's like
But
practice.
okay, so let's look at it this way. So there's this saying, right? Like if someone has a hammer, everything looks like a nail to them, right?
That's one way of looking at it, yes.
Yeah.
But what if everything is a nail? And you're constructing your hammer and you're close to finishing your hammer.
So then it's boring. So I would suggest that don't look at everything as a nail. Look certain things as a crack and like try to learn masonry, like not just
Yeah, I guess then that would be a construction.
but like
It's
okay.
like then it's like, making things up to just to get
But
to.
there the construction itself becomes a learning, right?
Yeah, but then it's like, being engaged with the business of living sort of things, materialism,
Yeah,
etc.
because the kind of learning that is not really helping you deal with the event. That is just learning about, okay, what props am I carrying? Am I carrying a shield? Am I carrying
Yeah.
a sword? So that is not really that is not learning that amounts to anything in terms of how it will change your act.
No, I'm saying like look at the situation irrespective of the tools that you're carrying. So if you're open to that, then you won't look at everything as a nail, right? So you would probably get rid of the layers of socially constructed norms around it. And
No,
then
but then that
then
what
open.
you're saying to me looks like a play. It is like और कुछ नहीं है मेरे पास सिर्फ I only have these nails, so I will pretend that this guy is a flower and this nail is a brick.
No.
I mean, that actually sounds like a useful way to
keep yourself occupied and
yeah,
yeah.
Business is living.
you won't be bored,
yeah.
right?
My days have to pass.
And like the next
मतलब
time,
ये सब चल रहा ही है and I have to deal with it only and there's nothing I can do and
Yeah.
I mean let's make it entertaining for all means and purposes that we can.
Exactly. Here's my sandbox. What do I do with it?
and then next time when you actually see a nail, then again try not to use a hammer. Try to look at it differently.
Yeah,
And it
that's
becomes more.
So self delusion is what you are offering as a remedy.
No, self delusion is what we are all in right now. So like there's no escaping that, right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I can actually become a alien or something.
Yeah, so it's better to be consciously self-deluded than unconsciously,
Then
So
what
you
if
were
you?
saying that Satya, you're saying that because we can't become an alien, so that means that because that means that if we think we are human, that is deluding ourselves.
No, we know that we are human. We know that we cannot be aliens. The only thing we have is this sandbox, and all we have is our time to do what we want with it, with this sandbox. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah,
That's how
so
it
that's
is.
interesting.
Make it interesting, precisely.
So why don't we want to fall? That's our third question.
I think then we should fall because to make it interesting.
No, I'm saying this, you don't
No,
have.
so Malvika was very anti-falling. So
What? When? I was not anti-falling.
I mean, in the beginning, you've been.
No, I actually you didn't understand. I was actually trying to look at falling not as a fall, but it's just as part of a movement.
Yeah, like a shifting of ground.
Yeah. So
as an event that happens also.
yes. So and that's why the fall doesn't end. I'm not at all anti-falling. I actually think the fall is the only way.
Okay, so you're pro-falling.
I am pro-falling.
Are you an anti? So you'll become anti-falling then.
Yes, totally.
So,
Both considerate.
Vidisha, are you open to falling or so? I mean, it will just help us get through the last question if we have some contrary positions. So, Vidisha, are you?
You don't want me to be open to falling?
Yeah, would you? Yeah, can you not be open to falling?
I don't. When one is assuming falling, that means one is assuming that one is at a different position, which is the other questions of legacy and.
So you are saying that if you are thinking of falling, you are saying that we are deluding ourselves that we are not already fallen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are under the delusion that we are in some kind of higher position.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But perhaps I'm saying like you don't have an option. Like you can't really choose, whether you want to fall or not.
I think we can be uncomfortable with falling because it makes us change that position, and we are always trying to look to become comfortable where we are. And
it at least makes you think of, it makes you think that you're going through a traumatic event, which.
So as trauma is coming so easy.
It should. So you might not be right. You're saying that it might not be, falling might not be all bad.
Yeah.
Falling, may not be bad, but it's the discomfort of falling that makes people not want it.
Not want to fall, yeah.
It's just discomfort.
Right. And the other thing which I was saying also for not wanting to fall is like, you're not going to fall anywhere new. It's all the same.
No, but it also destabilizes our, so we have these ideas that we are on some blessed path, right? So something is happening which is of a higher order than.
But even that is a construction. What path is this? There is no path.
Right. So it is a construct, but there is the delusion that, okay, this is above construct. This is something about glory. This is something about feeling like, okay, you feel that you can really do this, and at that point you find the business of falling irritating because it upsets that whole idea.
That's one way of finding. That's one reason for finding it irritating. The other reason of finding it irritating is you're not going to find something new
through falling.
Or sometimes you expect to fall in a certain way, but then you may fall the other way, or you may fall faster than you expect, or you may fall slower than you expect. You want the thrill, but then it's very slow.
So what is not on the plate is outthinking the fall, right? So I mean, no one is any of you offering me a way to not fall?
What I'm saying is, if you are not falling at all.
Yeah.
Even if you think you're falling, you're not, because it's the same everywhere. It's the same thing.
No. Okay, so I was gonna say, so if you become one with the ground, then you're not falling, then you're flowing.
Yeah.
But the ground shifts, nah?
So you're also shifting then. So it's kind of like how we are right now on Earth, right? So we are moving with the Earth.
Basically, you're not looking at the fall as a trauma, but it's just a flow.
Yeah, you can either fall off a diving board or you can just choose to dive.
No,
or you do absolutely nothing. You just lie there, the earth falls beneath you, you fall.
Right. So, I mean, because so what you said.
Way of looking at it, but
that's a what way?
Passive way of looking at it, like.
It's not passive at all. I'm actively choosing to do nothing.
Okay.
No, because you can do nothing, actually.
I mean, I could totally get up and run from the earthquake, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay. No, why is that?
Just to see what will happen. Why put effort? It's the same thing again.
So what do you mean it's the same thing again?
I'm sorry, I'm stuck there. It's like everything I see the same patterns. Like it's like fractals. Like.
No, but yeah, so it's. I mean, fractals might not be a distortion. They might actually be I don't know. They might be a clarifying frame, right? They might be a clarifying way of looking at.
Correct. And my limitation is my boredom with it.
So you are saying that fractals are done.
Are what?
Are done.
How do you mean?
I mean, you're saying that there's no point in talking about fractals.
In a way, I mean, we can talk about it, but we would only be describing the problem. We wouldn't be solving it.
But what I was pointing to, the whole karmic reoccurrence, so the recursion in the recursion that sets in, and if you take a karmic view of things, then that's the same thing. That's fractal, right?
It is actually. I mean, things just keep repeating, and you're wanting to get out of this, which is moksha, right?
But that's the same case with the broken tap. If you don't fix it, it's going to keep leaking. So till you fix it, it's the same problem.
That's true. It's the same problem.
So far, I think I've gotten a good sense of an escape from falling is that the fact that you're not falling at all, because the way Satya, the way you said it was because nothing is happening at all in the sense.
Yeah, you're just there.
Where she's like, even if you fall, you're falling to the same place again.
Like, yeah, but that feels like a suitably, comfortably abstract position to think about it through, right? I mean, in the sense that because then we come back to the actor and we come back to the lack of agency in how the actor can affect the script.
Right, which is what we said, because we don't have control how we're going to fall.
So okay, right. So we will stop the day 2 here.
All right.
Okay.
And I'll replace falling with some other construct for tomorrow. And
okay.
I hope you take anti and for positions.
All right.
Thanks for being here. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.